Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford Coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
There's some things going on in the car business that you got to know about, because these electric cars, the age of the electric car is not coming. It's here. Let's just face it. And you're going to be, before you know it, you're going to be stuck. I live in Illinois, so they're going to make it mandatory to have an electric vehicle. I don't think they can do it in the states out west. I don't know how they're going to do it, actually. They don't have the infrastructure for electricity, but hey, you never know. We got these new atomic or nuclear little plants booming up. Chuck, you got to do your engineer thing for me one day and tell me just exactly how do you make a not tiny, but a small nuclear plant that you don't have the rods for.
Wait, you want me to come on the radio and tell people how to make a nuclear reactor?
No, I don't think we should.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, I don't think that's good.
Okay.
I think the fact that you know how is bad.
I mean, we can call a guy and have him come on the radio, but I feel like that wouldn't go over well.
No, I think the fact that you know how is bad. I don't think you should know either.
Well, have you ever been on YouTube? You can learn how to do anything on YouTube.
Yeah, you can learn how to do your hair while you're doing your nuclear reactor.
My son once told me a story about a kid that was gathering nuclear material from old smoke detectors. And he started telling me the story. And it's a famous story on YouTube. I'm not telling anything that's secret here. So the kid was gathering nuclear material from smoke detectors and gathering it. As soon as he started telling me, I said, no, whatever you're thinking, no, don't do it.
Don't even think about it.
Don't even think about it. I said, we're not doing nuclear experiments in this household. I don't want anybody going green.
You got a little engineer on your hands.
But that's the thing about YouTube is there's all kinds of crazy stories out there.
Oh, God. Oh, my Lord. Well, this is not crazy, but it's going to be, it's pretty cool. The Ford electric vehicles are now teaming up with guess who? Your buddy Elon Musk. They're going to connect to 12,000 Tesla superchargers. Starting next spring, Ford electric vehicle owners will have access to roughly 12,000 Tesla superchargers via adapters. They'll have an adapter. In the first direct partnership of its kind between two competing electric vehicle makers. Because I don't think Ford's got a big system going yet. They're making cars, but I don't think they have a charging system. And starting in 2025, Ford Motor Company will stop building the EVs with the traditional combined charging system CCS ports, replacing them with Tesla's preferred North American charging standard charge port, removing the need for a special adapter. So your 2025 will plug right into Elon's electricity. Widespread access to fast charging is absolutely vital to our growth as an EV brand, said this, and this breakthrough agreement comes as we are ramping up production on our popular Mustang Mach-E and F-150 Lightning, preparing to launch a series of next-generation EVs starting in 2025. This according to Ford CEO Jim Farley. That's this week. They change CEOs pretty regular. Farley and Tesla CEO Elon Musk made the announcement on Twitter. Tesla celebrates about 17,000 superchargers in the U.S., so Ford will have access to the majority of them. I think that's fantastic. I think that's what's going to happen. And you know what? I thought there would be a universal, Chuck, a universal plug so that everybody can pay. And you know what else I want to know? When you had that Tesla in Florida, did you have to charge it?
No, I did not. That was part of the deal was I paid to charge it when I got back. So luckily I got in just under the range. 300 miles, I think it was.
300 miles.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what it costs to plug into one of those.
Well, and so in this case,
fully charge I don't care what it is, my Mustang, my Tesla, whatever
They told me that it was about $35, which again, a tank of gas, roughly $50. So in theory, it's cheaper to charge. I don't know how the mileage works out and things like that, but
it takes longer too.
Right.
And that fast charging, that's the one that catches things on fire. I think you want to leave that alone.
Well, and the fast chargers are generally out in the open. They're not, I don't think people are installing, you're not doing it in your home. So
no.
I think it's like 480. Nobody's putting 480 in their house.
No, you need a lot of electricity.
So that was the other thing though, is going back to the plugs. I mean, that's not something that's unique to the car industry. I mean, even look at what's been going on for years with cell phones, and like with, for instance, the iPhone, and how the EU finally forced Apple to put in what we call like the standard charger and things like that. So again, that's just industry. People don't like to get along and come to standards.
Well, we need to do that. We need to do that in this country, because there's going to be several different EVs out there.
I mean, I can't imagine. It's kind of like, imagine you pull up to the charging station. There's a whole bag of adapters. You got to go through and go, which one is mine? You got to carry your adapter with you. I mean, I forgot my adapter now. I can't charge my car. Well,
know that there'll be an app for that, and you'll have to rent it.
Yeah.
You'll have to rent that adapter.
Well yeah.
That'll be,
Or you go knock on somebody's window. Do you have an adapter for a Fiskars?
Oh, God.
You got a Fiskars adapter?
There's no Fiskars on the road. There never will be. That guy's a joke.
Well, then he doesn't have the adapter.
Well, it is what it is. You don't need an adapter for your Fisker, trust me. But yeah, I think we're going to have to commonize it, make it, all work the same.
Right.
But we're also going to have to make sure that they're safe.
Do you remember back in the old days, before we kind of standardized plugs for stuff in your house? You'd have to I remember when I worked at Radio Shack, there'd be like 20 different plugs. Somebody'd come in and go, I need this size plug and this amperage. And if you plug the wrong thing in, guess what? You blew up whatever you plugged in. So hopefully
you blew it up.
We don't have that problem, because we don't want to go blowing cars up.
Oh, yeah, half the stuff at Radio Shack had like 9-volt adapters and all this other
and somebody would come in and say, I plugged in a 12-volt to my 9-volt and it started smoking. What happened? Well, you need to buy a new one. Here's where they are. And so, I mean, that was a very common problem, is people didn't know their voltages and their amperages, and they'd plug in a 20-volt adapter to an 8-volt or 9-volt plug.
How many people driving know that?
Well, that's my point, is, you better standardize that before you blow cars up.
Yes, you better make it same for everybody, so that they don't have to choose. Because if you have to go to a chart and choose your charging
imagine
station,
you have to go to the charging station, check your voltage, like what volt are you, what amperage are you? You're going to be blowing things up.
Oh yeah, see, I couldn't agree more. And there's so much change in this world that's going to come about. First thing that's going to happen is somehow, we got to find some electricity,
right?
Because the windmills aren't going to get it. Windmills are not going to get it. Now these little nuclear plants, there's some big money behind those, Charles, big money, and they're looking at it like, hey, we're gonna take this electric thing by storm.
Well, I was just thinking, Elon gets enough scrutiny already. Imagine if he came out and someone started building nuclear reactors. Think about how much scrutiny he'd get.
Oh,
it's like, I run Twitter and build nuclear reactors for my cars.
Well, you better let the other fat cats do it. He's not one of them anymore anyway. So let the other guys do it. They did this for a reason. I'm serious. They're pushing this real hard. They put the cart before the horse. We have all these cars out there and no place to plug them in. But nice thing is, most of them are in California, and they are, they have a place to charge them. They have them all over the place in California. I just hope everybody knows what they're doing when they charge them. And if it's a Tesla, of course, you just plug it into your Tesla place. If you got a Ford, you have to put your adapter on. And I've never liked running electricity through an adapter. I just never have.
Right.
I've always thought that when I unplugged all that stuff, that adapter was hot. It just felt hot, like it was a resistance of some kind. I don't know. Well, again, right. You're the engineer. I'm not. But
there's also interesting questions about, let's say I'm driving out in the rain and I pull up to a charging station. My car's wet. I'm wet. The charger's wet.
That's what I want to do, is plug in 440 to my car.
Right.
When it's raining.
On a rainy day.
Yeah.
Because the Tesla chargers I've seen now are not uncovered. They're not covered.
No.
They're out in the open.
I see them. I've seen them. They're out in the open. I don't know. I sincerely hope this was all thought out ahead of time, not like the supply chain for electricity, because they haven't thought that out yet. They haven't gotten there yet, but they got electric cars on the road, and lots of them. The electric craze is here, Chuck.
Well, remember what we talked about last week? Oh, there we go. The Tesla is now the fastest selling car. So
yes, it is.
And now, so you got to figure it out. I mean, you could say supply and demand. The supply, the cars are being built. The demand is there. People are buying the cars, so they're going to have to figure it out.
The people that want electric vehicles are going to buy them.
Right.
The problem we have is that the people that don't want them or don't want the inconvenience. They don't want to have to plug them in. They want to stop at the gas station, get a tank of gas, and keep going. They're not going to have anything to drive if these manufacturers and whoever is pushing this, whoever is behind all this, the man behind the curtain, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain, Chuck, but whoever is pushing this is building cars and selling them to people and making states are going, okay, nothing after 2035, you're going all electric. I don't know how you're going to do that.
Well, it's also, as you mentioned that, I think about it, sort of a lifestyle shift too. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm running low on gas. I'm going to stop in, get gas on the way home. It's 5 minutes. Now it's like, well, I'm going to stop and get electricity. It's going to be about an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to leave for work 5 minutes early to get gas.
Yeah, well, you
Now-
got to
you
leave
know,
an
now you
hour
leave an hour
early
early, right?
to charge your car. You won't be able to charge it at work.
And that's assuming there's no line in the morning. Everybody lines up. They all wait till the morning to charge your car, and now you get there, and
and there's 10 chargers and 40 cars.
right.
That's this is all gonna come up. It's all gonna be there. It's all gonna be the talk of the town for a while. It's not gonna be a simple thing. We're gonna need to do our thing. America's gonna have to step up and, first of all, get some electricity, please, somewhere. Quit telling me that you're gonna use the tides of the ocean, the wind, the solar. That's all not gonna get it. You want to plug in 5,000 Teslas at once and see what happens? California will break off and go into the ocean. It'll melt. They have no structure for that. And that's just 5,000. They sold a couple 100,000 of those in California, right?
Right. Well, like I said, they're the fastest selling vehicle right now, and this for Q1, I believe it was.
Where are they going to plug them all in? Maybe somebody knows more than I do, but write in on Facebook and tell us one time and tell me, hey, I'm full of beans, but I just don't think we have. I don't think we have any place to plug them in. I'm worried about that. I really am. We come back, we're going to talk about the right to repair law. I have a real problem with this, and I'm sure that Chuck will understand. Maybe. We'll see. But I have a topic I'd like to talk about because I've had my own shop for 41 years, okay? And it's very, very big and very successful, and it's number one in town, yada, yada, yada. After all those years, it should be. I'm on my third generation of people. I got fathers, grandfathers, and grandsons. It's crazy. But this galls me. And I want this to get going and get it over with. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation has filed an emergency motion to prevent a June 1 enforcement of Massachusetts' updated right to repair law again, according to a court document filed Thursday. The action comes after State Attorney General Andrea Campbell said in a March filing that terminating her office's non-enforcement stipulation was in the public interest and that enforcement would begin in June. In its filing, the Alliance argues that a June 1 enforcement would cause its members irreparable harm, as any attempt to comply with the new law would require automakers to remove essential cybersecurity protections from their vehicles. So they're claiming, a hearing on the Alliance's request for the temporary restraining order is scheduled for Tuesday. They're claiming that, we can't tell you everything because if we do, somebody could hack into it. Somebody's going to hack into it anyway.
Well, I'm going to say, tell that to Kia, but
yeah, somebody's going to hack into it anyway. You have to let me fix my neighbor's car. You have to let my people come to me to have their car fixed. They don't want to go back to your dealership. That's just the way it is.
Well, and so we know, for instance, going back to like YouTube and stuff, there are plenty of people on YouTube that as soon as something comes out, whether it's a car or a phone or whatever
they're going to have something.
They're going to open it. They're going to show you what's in it. They're going to reverse engineer it. They're going to do all those things. There's plenty of people out there that are going to do that. But it's interesting, when you're talking about this, there's several states, Minnesota just recently passed that law, the right to repair law, New York, Colorado, and you mentioned Massachusetts. And so each one is a little bit different. A lot of them apply to like farm equipment because that was the big thing was farm equipment.
Yes.
And then also electronics.
But they're electronic too. Some of those are going to be
fly-by-wire kind of stuff.
Fly-by-wire,
Everything's
yes.
electronic. I mean, it's
Everything's electronic, and it's all done with software.
Right, and this isn't the old days of banging on it and welding it back together.
Right.
This is doing, So that's always been sort of the point. Going back to the original argument, like John Deere made, was they said, well, it's too high tech for the average farmer to know what he's doing. It's like, well, that's fine. There'll be somebody in the neighborhood that will figure it out. Don't void the warranty, because again, if you're a farmer in the middle of nowhere, it's harvest season, your tractor breaks down.
You got to fix it.
I'm going to wait 6 months to drive it somewhere, get it fixed, bring it back.
Yeah,
No, we
get
got to
it
fix it.
towed.
We got to fix it tomorrow.
I'm going to let them bring a big flatbed out into my cornfield and tow it away. No.
Right, eventually, when they have time for you.
Yeah, no, this right to repair is very, very critical. Now, if they were smart, this is my idea. This is what I think. They should make this where they have to go. We would have to use a code to get into the dealer or into the manufacturer, and the code would be given strictly to people that are repaired. They'd have to certify them.
Okay.
And they're being certified on their vehicles, and you could contact the manufacturer and get the info that you need to repair one of their late model cars.
Okay.
And that's what we're talking about.
And even if they charged a reasonable, $10 for that service or
Absolutely.
something.
No, they want
not
thousands.
$1,000, but if they charge $10, $20 for that service, okay, fine. The infrastructure exists to do such a thing, for you to call, get a code, and it's all doable.
Exactly. It's all doable. You could make it happen if you want to. They don't want to, because they want you coming back to their dealer and spending your money there. And when they own you, and I mean they'll own you, because if I can't repair your vehicle, you have to go back there. They'll own you just like a slave, and you will pay whatever they tell you.
Well, that goes back even to the idea of renting your heated seats and things like that. Is they
the
have
apps.
These mechanisms where they don't want you to tinker with their cars, because then a guy will find a way to unlock your heated seats and unlock your extended range and things like that.
Oh, yes, they will. They will, and that's just going to have to happen. I mean, these apps are. I got a story about apps. That's my next story, as a matter of fact, Chuck. Automakers work to convince dealers and investors they can generate big profits in the years ahead by charging monthly subscription fees for software-based services. Ford Motor Company is proving the business model to be more theoretical, at least with some buyers. Roughly 400,000 customers, or about 12%, of its total connected vehicle base, now pay subscription services offered by Ford Pro. I belong to Ford Pro. The automaker's commercial unit. That's a 60% more than just a year ago, and Ford thinks it can triple that figure to 1.2 million by 2026. Big money is at stake. By 2026, executives say 20% of Ford Pro's earnings will be before interest and taxes will come from software services. They project that Ford Pro will generate $6 billion in earnings this year, and by 2026 will have the highest margins in the company at around 14%. So they're going to use these to make big bucks here. Among the offerings is Vizar, a $39 a month field service tool that helps users digitize work quotes and invoices. Ford Pro also offers a number of charging services and has said it expects to generate $1 billion in revenue from commercial charging services. We're expecting our revenue pools beyond the vehicle itself and extending it across the whole life cycle of a vehicle to be $2,000 per vehicle. Think about that. Ford Pro, which offers electric vehicles as well as gasoline-powered, I have a gasoline-powered one, said it expects to eventually earn $2,000 per vehicle annually on subscriptions, or about $167 a month.